What's going on, guys? It's Anime One back here with another video, and today I'm here with a new series of what if Naruto was neglected and he had the Jougan. And so if you guys like the series, so subscribe to the channel and also drop the like button while you're at it, and also comment down below if you guys want me to continue what if Naruto was taken by Jiraiya for 3 years, and also what if Naruto was banished the Moon Knight story because they're not receiving much of good reviews. So if you guys would comment down below, it would really help. So yeah, let's begin the video. So before we start the video, a lot of things are going to be different in this what if. First thing is the story timeline is going to be different than the original. First things first, Minato and Kushina were born much earlier in the story, about 2 years ago, and Uzumaki clan is still alive, and Naruto was given to the Uzumaki clan when he was just a baby. So that's what the background story is, and Naruto only knows his mother, he doesn't know his father. So yeah, that's the background of the story. So let's begin. First thing he heard was the sound of the thunderous explosion. The entire ground shook terribly. The house in which he was sleeping shook as well. It was enough to destroy any sense of sleep from his body. Bawling from his head to his bed, he quickly made his way towards the wardrobe of his room. Opening the wooden door, he quickly took out a dark black colored t-shirt and blue colored pants. The shirt was a spiral symbol on its back. He rapidly strapped the vest around his body and strapped his kunai pouch to his thigh, wrapping its green-colored high fly jacket around his chest. He tied his headband around his right arm. Picking up a small sharp tanso, he placed it on the covered strap on his back. Stepping in front of the mirror, he was satisfied with the image he saw. His name was Naruto Uzumaki, 13 years old, rank Chunin, ninja registration number 22410, affiliation, the Hidden Whirlpool Village. The young shinobi was nearly 5'3" tall and had long, silky, dark red hair. One of his eyes was concealed by a long bang. He was extremely fair and had a piercing blue colored his eyes. His body was sported well, built with muscle. A fine black colored face mask concealed his identity. With one last glance at his reflection, he made his way towards the window. A moment later, the apartment was empty. The young Jonin was rapidly leaping through the rooftops. His sensory powers were clearly pointing towards a heated battle happening near the northern borders of the village. The number of fighters engaged in battle were too many to count. That could only mean that they were under attack from another hidden village, or several of them. Nothing could be said for certain. The Third Great Ninja War had just begun a few months ago. While Uzu had decided to stay neutral in it, would be futile to deny the fact that it was on his hit list of every ninja village. After all, there was a technology most advanced. While small in size and population compared to the other major villages, it had ninjas that were more stronger and talented. But most of all, they had the knowledge of many hidden arts that were not known to any of the villages, particularly the sealing jutsus. He didn't stop when two more people arrived at his side. They easily matched his place and started accompanying him to the battle zone. One of them was short, red hair, dark purple eyes. He had fair skin, and he was wearing a tuning uniform, the Uzu headband, which being proudly tied around his forehead. His hair was almost covering both of his eyes. Unlike Naruto, who was carrying a tanto, this boy was carrying a large scroll on his back. He had several beside this boy for the past 4 years, graduated academy with him, placed on the same Genin team, and went on to become a Chunin with him. He was fair to say that Urashi Uzumaki was one of his closest and most trusted friends. His other person was a girl. Unlike the two redhead boys, she had blue hair and slight strands of pink, a rare trait in the village, such as theirs. She was fair-skinned and had body of a kunoichi, her long hair tied in a ponytail. She was also wearing a tuning vest with a specialized ninja of the medical field attached in her left arm, with an angular face and a smile that would make any young man fall for her. Yet despite her sexy look, she was only 13-year-old Ada Uzumaki, the deadly kunoichi. Like Arashi, she had also graduated together with Naruto and had been on the same Genin team. The trio had promoted together, but Naruto was promoted to Jonin right after a month. He was a prodigy, and that was expected. Naruto, what's going on? Asked Arashi. The boy sounded quite worried, even nervous. We are being attacked, Arashi. This much should be clear to you, scolded Ada. Clear irritation and tension visible in her eyes. Why? Our village has been absent from the participating war, argued Arashi, sounding quite confused and a hint of betrayal seeping into his voice. I don't know. I just hope Konoha sends aid as soon as possible. There are too many enemy forces as for to us to repel. And that what troubles me is the fact that they managed to find the location of our village. Nobody in the past 60 years were able to even get a hint of our location, said Ada. She took a rather forceful jump in frustration, grabbing one of the rooftop. Focus on the task at hand first. The time for making assumptions will come later. Both of the young Uzumaki Chunins stared at their last teammate, who stayed silent till now. It was difficult, extremely difficult, for them to understand, even now, that Naruto was actually the son of Kushina Uzumaki. Considering how loud and boisterous the red-haired woman was, her son was an entirely different person. He was kind, friendly, and deeply cared about his village and his citizens. He even went as far as calling each of them his family. And at the time, he was quite reserved as well. Naruto was one of the most talented upcoming ninjas and rapidly rose through the ranks due to his power. While Arashi was shy and Ada was hot-headed, Naruto was the rational head for their team. Unlike his mother, he had an uncanny habit of remaining composed even in the most difficult situations, a trait which he possibly inherited from his unknown father. Maybe it was the absence of a father in the boy's life that had transformed him into a person that he was today. Kushina had never revealed the identity of Naruto's father, and inside a village which greatly valued parental lineage, it directly made Naruto an outcast. Ada could still remember when Naruto was bullied on this fact by her fellow students. At first, the boy was quite disturbed, but over time he stopped caring about the jabs. Instead, he decided to prove himself by becoming the strongest ninja of their village, an ambition he still followed to this day. Graduating at the top of their class, performing maximum number of genin missions, taking the tuning exams of their village. These were among the most noticeable achievement of the young boy, and yet he was not famous for these facts, but another reputation. He never took prisoners. Their thoughts were interrupted when Naruto suddenly stopped. Wordlessly, he knelt down and placed one of his fingers on the rooftop. Arashi and Ada stopped as well. It was not a defining thing, and even if they all shared the same rank, it was quite mutual to accept that Naruto was the leader of their team. Seeing several enemy platoons approaching from the east side, reported Naruto, his voice still calm. Yet, one look in his eyes and years of staying by his side was enough of his friends to see that even he was disturbed by this revelation. The Uzukage had personally booby-trapped the entire village. Think they'll get through. We should focus on the north sector, where the real fight is going on, suggested Ada as Naruto shifted his gaze towards Arashi. I think we should check on the eastern side, just to be sure, said Arashi, his voice uncertain as the sweat rolled down his pale face. I agree, asked Naruto, his blue eyes piercing, asking any unsaid question. The girl sighed and nodded. Fine, I'll inform the Uzukage. Then we'll go to check it out, agreed Ada, receiving a faint, thankful smile from Naruto, which once he happily returned with a grin. Steel glowed on Arashi's hand as Ada bit her thumb and wrote down a code message. A moment later, the mark along with the blood disappeared, leaving no trace of its existence. Done, said Arashi confidently. Nice work. Let's go to D formation, suggested Naruto calmly, receiving two affirmative nods from his teammates. Let's go. He had an extremely worried look on his face. Besides him, Ada and Arashi were tightly clenching their fists, their eyes burning with anger. They had arrived on the eastern borders of the village. They had not expected the enemy forces to be on the verge of breaking down nearly all the barriers. No matter how skilled the enemy had, it would be nearly impossible for them to break through the Uzumaki defenses. It is as I feared, thought Naruto worriedly, not expressing his opinions out loud in order to keep his comrades focused. As, right in front of him, he saw Matsuo Uzumaki standing ahead of a large Kumo forces, his hands slowly disabled, and various traps set by his own village. Now we know why Matsuo never reported back to the village. He was captured by the enemy, said Naruto frankly. We should save him, said Arashi seriously. The boy sounded quite determined of a change. I agree, he's one of our own. The enemy has definitely placed him under a genjutsu, otherwise he would have never done something like this, said Ada passionately. How should we do this? Asked she quickly. Stand down. The two Chunins were surprised when Naruto gave them the order in a painful tone. Despite his face mask concealing his face, they could see he was gritting his teeth. He was holding a sharp kunai strapped with an explosive tag in his right hand. Naruto, said Arashi worriedly. What are you thinking? Said Ada uncertainly. We can't save him. There are simply too many enemy forces surrounding him. And then there's that man, pointed Naruto. His comrades glanced in the direction that he was pointing at. They froze. For there was the standing behind the several Kumo's shoulders was the third Raikage himself. The man was a beast and was rumored to be the fastest and the most physical strong ninja of their world. We may be able to eliminate the ninjas and grab Matsuo, but we would never be able to outrun from the Raikage. All of us would be definitely killed, said Naruto. But if we don't do something, Matsuo will, said Arashi in a troubled tone. Ada saw Naruto's hand trembling with the kunai. The young boy was shaking and taking in deep, short breaths, and in that moment, she knew what he was going to do. We have to stop Matsuo, Naruto said bitterly. What? No, he's our comrade. We can't harm him, argued Arashi. The boy seemed extremely shocked with what his friend had just suggested. There is no other choice, Arashi, replied Ada, compassionately, placing her hand over the shocked boy's arm. Naruto, we took an oath to protect our comrades, said Arashi, tirelessly, and saw Naruto glancing away from his piercing eyes. In the past, many of our shinobi have died for the protection of the village. Neither will we or Namatsu are any different, said Naruto sadly. No, we can save him. Don't give up so easily, damn it, said Arashi furiously. Think about the village, Arashi. We cannot rescue Matsuo without getting ourselves killed, and that would further weaken the village in desperate hours. Try to understand the situation, pleaded Naruto. But do you trust me, Arashi? Naruto said calmly, yes. Then follow my lead, requested Naruto. Arashi looked towards Ada, who gave him a firm nod. his hands, he still had doubts, yet he trusted Naruto enough to do the right thing. He reluctantly consented, earning a friendly smile from Naruto. Naruto focused his vision. A second later, he threw the kunai. The weapon sped through the air at great speeds and landed several meters away from Matsuo. The Kumo shinobi became alert and took defensive formation, and it was the moment the explosive tag attached onto the kunai went off. Boom! Matsuo was sent sailing away due to the shock wave released from the explosion. He crashed in the nearby bushes with a small thud. Despite the injury, Akino sensed the man was still breathing, just completely knocked out. The two of them stared at Naruto, who had a satisfied smile on his face. The boy did something unexpected. Rising out of his covers in the tree, Naruto suddenly made himself visible to the surprised Kumo forces. The boy gave them a straight middle finger. Worthless sourheads, taunted Naruto. Ida and Arashi stared at their friend in surprise. Naruto literally grabbed them by the collar and next second started running away with them. There were several angry shouts from now the enraged enemy troop who had launched themselves in hot pursuit. Uzu ninja smirked when the Kumo forces started getting hit by the hidden traps set by the Uzukage. Matsuo completely out of commission. It would take quite time consuming for them to break through, and it would cost them many lives. She smiled proudly as he followed Naruto, with a grinning Ada right beside him. They may have been unable to rescue their comrade, but they didn't kill him and also brought time for the village to prepare for countermeasures. We held your oath of protecting our comrades and the village at the same time, Naruto thought Ada fondly. Guys, we are being summoned back to the Kage's tower. Katsuro-sama wants to meet us urgently. Inform Arase, correcting the reading message, which had been apparent through the seal on his arm. Naruto and Ada exchanged a quick nod. Okay, acknowledge orders, said Naruto seriously. The fear in the war room was extremely grim. Naruto, Ashi and Ada crisply stood in the corner of the room, along with several young chunin of their age. All of them seemed quite anxious, even nervous, their eyes fixated on their Uzukage, who was currently going through a situation assessment with the top jonins of the village. Naruto was not an expert tactician warfare, but so far he could see three very large red pieces surrounding his village. Kumo is the first one, then Kiri will definitely be the second. They have us invaded, but who could have been the third? Suna is too far away to launch an attack. Konoha wouldn't launch an attack of losing Kasan's loyalty, and we all know how important she is to the citizens of the Fire Country. That would only leave Eva. I knew Onoki was crazy, but he really went this far, thought Naruto worriedly. It was quite difficult for him to accept the fact that three rival hidden villages had started fighting against each other, had suddenly united against him and his small nation. Naruto got out of his troubled thoughts when someone called out for him. He nudged him and he saw it was none other than the Uzukage himself, Kotsuro Uzumaki. He was a 50-year-old ninja. He had also been through a first and the second Great Ninja Wars, and had shared close ties with both Hashirama and Chobirama Senju. The man's powers in Fuinjitsu was enough to make the five Kage accept him as an equally powerful warrior. He was now also the one transferring the Kyuubi back into Kushina when Mito had died. He stepped before his leader and knelt before him. I assume you understand the situation, Naruto, said Katsuro kindly in a grandfather tone. The enemy forces have outnumbered us and surrounded us, but we can defeat them. We are with you. All of us are, Kotsuro-sama. replied Naruto confidently. Kage and his aide looked around the room and received proud nods from the young teen Chunins. It only lifted the Kage's proud shoulders as he placed an arm on Naruto's shoulder. This is the will of Uzu, which burns brightly within you all. I want you to all carry it within you for the rest of your lives, advised Katsuro kindly, and was not surprised when Naruto looked at him deflately. Fight, send us to the front lines. We will crush the enemy. Naruto, every young Chunin nodded seriously. No doubts on your skills and bravery, but we are heavily outnumbered, and I won't send all of you younglings to their deaths. And it is also duty of our village to protect the civilians. If I send every fighter to the front line, who will protect them if enemy breaks through? Asked Katsura patiently. But what about Konoha? They might be supporters, right? Asked Arashi hopefully. He saw the disappointed look in the leader's eyes. I've sent word to Kushina a few hours ago, but we are yet to receive any response. But I know they shall come to our aid, assured Katsuro. He was satisfied with many of his tunings beside in relief, yet Naruto stared at him blankly. Please tell us the real situation, Katsuro-sama requested Naruto, making the old man smile a little. You were always too observant, Naruto, the leader said. How bad is it? Asked Ada worriedly. The Kage took a deep breath. Uzu will fall, confessed the Kage. Gasps were heard across the room. Many of them, Chunin, went pale with fear. Ada and Arashi were on the verge of tears, and even herself was no better. Then I'll stay behind with the other Virgin ninjas. Katsura-sama, you and the other ninjas must escape as soon as possible, said Naruto confidently, his eyes calm and determined. Before the touched Kage could even speak, almost every other young Chunin stepped forward and yelled beside Naruto. We will try to buy much time as possible, promised Ada. Just get the civilians and our families to safety, asked Arashi politely. The boy was actually calm for a change. Everyone, said Katsuro, a lone tear falling from his eyes. Uzu is not on the brinks of or walls of the village, but the people. We may lose our homeland, but as long as our people live on, there will be a future for them. But they will need a leader like you to guide them and protect them. We are expendable as long as each and every one of us draws breath. We'll fight to give that future, promised Naruto. Pin drop silence prevailed in the war room. As shocked as Kage and hailed all the Chunin, not even one of them backed away, all of them proudly standing beside their comrades, Naruto. That's where you're wrong, Naruto, said Katsuro kindly, and placed his hands on Naruto's shoulder, making the boy stand up. The other Chunin also followed the action. I don't understand. We're just Chunin and I'm just a lowly Jonin. Our lives is not as valuable as yours. We want to defend our people, insisted Naruto. You're talented, Naruto, but you must learn all of your best warriors in the elemental nations, but it does not change the fact that the enemy has outnumbered us and surrounded us. More than that, there are three powerful Kage leading the charge. Even all of you combined cannot face one Kage, explained Katsuro briefly, making the young teens flinch. But, persisted Naruto, the children are the future of any civilization. If I let our children sacrifice themselves, then I'll be betraying our entire family and never be able to face our ancestors and much less forgive myself. Proud to have soldiers like you, and it gives me hope for the future. I want all of you to divide yourself into small teams, and each team shall take a small contingent of civilians with them, old men, women, and children. You all will take different routes and leading our people into Fire Nation. I've sent the word to the Hokage. You all will be given shelter in the Konoha, explained Katsura, and saw some tension vanishing from many of the teens' face. Can we trust them? Asked Naruto skeptically. I know he isn't Sarutobi, despite our differences. He is an honorable man. Kushina will help our people in settling down. When the situation is resolved, and if I'm alive, then we shall think about regaining our lost territory. Until then, we must protect our people at all cost, said Katsura seriously. I won't abandon you, said Naruto stubbornly, making the old Kage chuckle fondly. The Uzukage placed a firm hand on Naruto's shoulder and gave him a reassuring smile. Have some faith in me, Naruto, son. Despite Kushina will kill me if I let it participate in such a suicidal battle, which is still beyond your league, said Katsura kindly, making the other chuckle. Naruto remained stoic. I am a shinobi and old enough to make my own decisions. Please let me fight beside your side. Naruto. Ah, the good old rebellious teen. What an interesting lives they live, thought Katsura fondly. Try to look at the situation rationally rather than emotionally, Naruto. I'm sure you'll understand, and if that's not enough to make you understand, then consider this as an order from your Kage. Protect the civilians and get them to Konoha, no matter what the cost is, said Katsura sternly. Naruto's fist clenched tightly as he glared at his leader, much to the surprise of his fellow Chunins, yet Katsura simply smiled. I can't run away like this, said Naruto aggressively. You're not running away, Naruto. You're simply making a strategic retreat to protect the civilians. The situation is under control. We'll take the fight back to the enemy. Don't be so eager to die, son. You're still young. Your time will come, advised Katsuro patiently. I kneel. Naruto blinked. So did the others. Regardless, they quickly obeyed the leader's order and knelt before him. The old Kage's wrinkled face shined brightly, his bright red hair flowing in the air, his bulky figure looming over as they all looked at the old man. The old man took out his sword and placed it on Naruto's shoulder. Be without fear in the face of your enemies. Be brave and kind so that our ancestor may love you. Strive for the truth and peace, even if it leads to your end. Safeguards and helpless and oppose the wicked. That is your oath. Slap. The old Kage inflicted a tight slap on Naruto's cheek, leaving a bright red mark behind as the boy looked at him in surprise. The Kage smirked. And that is so remember it, said Katsura with a chuckle. The old man slowly made up to Naruto's stand, with the other Chunins following the suit. Rise, a guardian. Smile when all the Chunin gave him a crisp, devoted stare salute, Naruto included, even as a lone tear slipped from the boy's eyes. The Kage's aide gave a scroll to a curious Arashi as soon as the Chunin quickly started to exit the room in order to carry out their mission. Naruto, Arashi, and Ada also started to run towards the exit. When the Uzukage's voice stopped them. Turning around, they were surprised to see the Kage giving them a crisp salute. I leave the Uzumaki to you. Protect them, said Katsura fondly. In return, the three youngsters shifted to attention and looked at their brave Kage straight in the eyes. We will.